Good morning, everyone. Today is the 23rd of January, and it's Wednesday morning. We're ready for chapter. We're ready for chapter 3 in the book, Biblical Christianity Today. I wanted to start this chapter by saying that I'm so thankful for someone introducing me to the Sovereignty of God by Arthur Pink. I strongly recommend this work to everyone that reads this book. Like I've stated many times, if God is not sovereign, then God is not God. God works all things after the counsel of his own will. I also strongly recommend the study of Isaiah all the way through the book of Isaiah. The prophet, in the most profound way, articulates the absolute sovereignty of God. In chapters 43, 44, 45, and 46 are phenomenal, and anyone who reads them and still denies that God is sovereign just does not believe the Bible. Isaiah says, "There is no God beside me, and who can say unto him, What doest thou?" So much of the book of Isaiah can be contrasted with and studied in parallel with the 9th chapter of Romans. Hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? This is the absolute declaration that God is not dependent upon his creatures. He is independent of his creatures and his creation. If one molecule goes awry, then God is not sovereign. During the 9/11 attack, I remember a well-known televangelist. Well, T.G. Jakes must not have read the Old Testament. The Old Testament is full of examples of God's wrath and judgment exhibited not only in the weather, but in fire and brimstone and hail and whirlwinds, which are tornadoes and hurricanes and all kinds of pestilences and plagues. God is very active in the lives of man on a daily basis. God says, "I am God and I change not." He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So God is over everything. We can go to the book of Job to see that Satan had to get God's permission before he did anything in regards to Job. God would not allow Satan to kill him. Some key words to look up that affirm God's sovereignty over our lives are bounds of our habitation, potter, clay, predestination, election, foreordination, judgment, and providence. There is a misinterpretation by the Arminians regarding foreknowledge. They say that God looked down through the portals of time and saw those that would choose him, and so consequently he elected them. This is a denial of the doctrine of election and predestination. To foreknow means to know one intimately, as Adam knew his wife Eve intimately. Jesus knew each one of those for whom he would come and die for on an intimate basis before they were even born. He had a purpose and decree and predestinated them. The word predestinates means to predetermine what happens before it happens. So God is absolutely sovereign over the weather, his providence, over life and death. And yes, even the winds and sea obey him. And most importantly, God is sovereign over our salvation. Once we come to accept the realization that God is sovereign, there's a tremendous rest for the people of God. No, we are not cooperative agents, and no, we do not have a free will in God's to our eternal salvation. No, we do not subscribe to the doctrine of the Council of Trent like the Roman Catholics. It is all of sovereign grace. As it relates to divine providence, Joseph told his brothers, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." And because of the evil perpetrated on Joseph, God took these events and outcomes the outcome was that it sustained all of Jacob's sons during the great famine. There is a special exclusive blessing to God's elect who are totally undeserving of the benefits listed in Romans 8:28 through 32. We know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. God is absolutely sovereign in governments. He brings kingdoms down and he raises kingdoms up. God is absolutely sovereign in the declaration of his word. God is actually absolutely sovereign as it relates to whose hearts are regenerated by the Spirit of God and whose hearts are hardened. So God's sovereignty is a very important consideration. If we in any way deny the absolute sovereignty of God, we are denying God himself and who he says he is, and his holy word. God said, I am that I am. He's the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, the end, the first, the last, the King of kings and Lord of lords. He is the Prince of Peace, the everlasting. We view God, his word, and the world in a totally different light. Well, that concludes chapter 3. Tomorrow we're going to be talking more in depth in chapter 4 regarding predestination, which is rarely talked about in these times. May the good Lord be with you today and bless you and strengthen you and cause you to believe in his sovereignty is my prayer. God bless.